sure if this is a... I think this is technically a cake. So holding it in the hand's kind of weird. But the way I look at it, it's like a really, really big donut. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and squirrels, welcome to another Commander Radix video. And let me tell ya, ooh, what? It's been a while since I recorded a non-scripted video, so bear with me. A Transformers series came out, a series that was labeled as an anime. The less we say about that, the better. But it was a Transformers series called Siege. Rooster Teeth had something to do with its creation. It was put up on Netflix, and it was a Transformers series. I said that already. Now, being a sort of Transformers YouTube channel, I talked about the upcoming Siege story, or upcoming series, a few times on this channel. Once when I gave my predictions and first impressions based on the first trailer, and then I elaborated more on my thoughts in some live streams. In my first thoughts and feelings videos, I was very pessimistic. I was very cynical. The trailers gave me nothing to believe it would be anything good. I thought it was going to be just a retread of some War for Cybertron conceptual stuff, as in, oh no, the Autobots and Decepticons are fighting on Cybertron, and oh no, the Decepticons are winning, oh no, the Autobots gonna leave on the Ark. That's what I thought it was gonna be. A story we've seen countless times, again and again. Maybe with a little twist of, oh, Megatron's a revolutionary. We haven't seen that done before. Initially, I was so pessimistic that I wasn't even really going to watch the series. I was gonna say, I have my intuition. I already know what this is gonna be like. And I initially wasn't going to watch it. But once it came out, I broke down and said, alright, I'll watch the first few episodes, see if this is what I predicted it was going to be, and then move on with my life. And if it manages to hook me, and it manages to hook me all the way through, then I'll watch it all the way to the end, and hey, I would have thought it was good, I watched it all. So yeah, I was going to watch the first few episodes. If I thought it was good, I would continue going and leave when I thought it was bad. I watched the entire series. So, that means I thought it was pretty good. I'm not going to say if this is a spoiler review or not, because I don't know. It'll be a spoiler review, so spoilers, if you haven't seen it, go see it. I recommend it. Go ahead. Hey! I don't even know where to start as to why I like the series. I didn't think it was, like, Energon level good. I realized to most of you watching that didn't make any sense what I just said. Transformers Energon's my favorite series. So I didn't think it was Energon level good. But I think this is something I could actually rewatch thanks to its length. One thing you have to know about me is that I like shorter stories, and I really don't like series that last long. For example, I love anime, but if you look at my anime list, you'll notice that a vast majority of the anime I watch are about 11 to 13 episodes long. So I've seen some people criticize the new series for it being short, 6 episodes long. I thought it was perfect. It might have been able to be 5 episodes long. If it dragged on any longer, I probably would have lost interest. There is no structure to this review. This is just me talking about what I liked. Moonracer got freaking eaten. That was new. So, zombies have existed in Transformers since the 80s. But, usually they're explained. 2, usually they don't actually end up eating anybody. Usually the Autobots or whoever's being attacked by the zombies gets out free, scot-free. Usually. We see Moonracer get eaten. She done did got ate. However, they're also not explained. It's like, oh, they're in this weird region, this supernatural region that we're just not going to explain. Whatever. There are 2 things I didn't like. The 2 things I didn't like was, 1, Jetfire's change from being a Decepticon to an Autobot. Like, yeah, of course, it's Jetfire. We knew what was going to happen as soon as we saw him with a Decepticon symbol. I think, superhero fans, have the killing of the Waynes phenomena, where we know Thomas and Martha Wayne are going to die. So when you show them on screen, we're like, oh, we're going to have to sit through another scene of something that we already know will happen. Transformers, especially nowadays, has a lot of Death of the Wayne moments, in that all you have to do is look at the scene and go, I know what's going to happen. The moment you see Jetfire with a Decepticon symbol, you're like, I know what's going to happen. The moment you see the Ark on Cybertron, you're like, I know what's going to happen. Like, it's the same thing with Uncle Ben. Like, you don't need to keep killing Uncle Ben, we get it, we know what's going to happen. I'd rather we not go over it again. As soon as you see Sentinel Prime, usually, you know what's going to happen. You know he's going to get killed and have to pass the Matrix to Optimus. Although around the 2010s, that's sort of starting to change since they started to develop Sentinel Prime as a character more. Thankfully, we don't have to go through a whole worthiness sequence where the Matrix gets passed to Optimus Prime. I have seen so many Orion Pack / Optronic / pre-Prime Optimus stories that I want to die whenever I see an Optimus Prime that is not a Prime. But back to what I didn't like. Jetfire transitioned fast. Like, first episode, I have a feeling that in the first episode, they're like, okay, people are going to see this, they're going to know Jetfire becomes an Autobot. So let's make them rethink, oh, maybe he won't be an Autobot, by making Jetfire, like, really evil. Which, okay, that's pretty good. Except when you make a character that evil, you're going to have to go through a redemption arc before he can become an Autobot. It's different from a Jetfire that's like, oh, I thought we were Decepticons, we were fighting for good, and oh no, please don't execute these prisoners. But in episode 1, he's like slashing his own teammates, he's like, yeah, let's kill these people. It would have been interesting if they really sort of talk about this universe operates on a Decepticons and Autobots are ethnically different organizations, ethnically different groups. It would be interesting if Jetfire was an ethnic Autobot who happened to align more with the Decepticon cause and join the Decepticons, and that's why he was like so gung-ho on the Decepticons. But when like Megatron suggests, I guess Shockwave suggests the genocide of the Autobots and reworking them into Decepticons, Jetfire like, oh, that, because he says that looks painful. You know, Jetfire might say, oh, I don't want to be a part of that, but ooh, that would have made more sense. I thought they were going to go an interesting way with Ultra Magnus, where Ultra Magnus points the gun at Megatron and orders him to turn around, and Megatron says no, and then he gets beaten up by it, and is like, that's why you should learn to take the shot. I thought they could have gone an interesting route where Megatron like slowly corrupts Ultra Magnus in prison, makes Ultra Magnus turn against the Autobot way, and then Megatron sends Ultra Magnus against Optimus Prime. That would have been an interesting way, because Megatron talks about, you know, destroying the Autobots, you know, I think at the beginning of episode 2 they talk about like ruining them morally, destroying their morals and stuff like that. That would be interesting to see, but they didn't go down that route. But Jetfire transitioning fast was one thing I didn't like. Another thing I didn't like was, in general, Elita 1. Elita 1 fills in the shoes of, like, Pyra Magna from the first IDW universe, just random character who, like, all Optimus breathes, and then Elita 1 says,
Optimus, I don't think that's a good plan, Optimus. Optimus, I'm questioning your judgment. Are you really capable to lead?
You know, and that was annoying to watch. I get it that we're supposed to make the viewer question Optimus Prime, but we know Optimus Prime, we're chill with Optimus Prime. So when we're chill with Optimus Prime, one of the most beloved Transformers characters, the role Elita 1 plays, it just comes off more as a nuisance to the viewer than I think what was intended. She did have a few nice moments though, I'll say that. But for the most part, Elita 1 was very annoying. So those were the two things that I didn't like. Everything else, generally speaking, I was okay with or actually liked. I know I talked about how, like, oh, Megatron as a revolutionary is such an overdone concept that's done over and over again, and I've just lost interest. The Megatron in this series is the same as a revolutionary, but I believe more original stuff is done with that concept. Megatron and the Decepticons really gave me Twitter vibes, that's what I'll say. The propaganda Megatron announced, you know, the announcements over the intercom and all that stuff felt very much like it reminded me of like the American news media and how they'll take a story and just completely shift it, changing facts to fit their agenda, I guess. And Megatron's different reports and speeches about how, like, Optimus Prime attacked them during a attempted truce negotiation or stuff like that. That was very echoing of the media. But also the idea of, like, Megatron believes in his values, but he takes it to puritanical levels. He talks about how Ultra Magnus is, like, I can't remember the exact line, but it's like talking about how Ultra Magnus is, like, he would have been a good Decepticon, but because of who he is, like, he's just, a whole reformatting needs to happen. The Decepticons aren't... Maybe the basic ground troops are, but for the most part, and maybe Shockwave is, but for the most part, there is a idea behind the Decepticons, and it's an idea that many truly believe in, not just to be evil. I would say Megatron falls under that same category. They mark how the Decepticons co-opted Alpha Trion's original equality movement, which, you know, it's nice because, like, the IDW universe, it's like, there's a real oppressive Senate, and it's real oppressive, and then people rise up for fight to equality, and then they just happen to become evil later on. Siege represents it as there was an oppressive society, but then a group of people opposed it and wanted equality, and then another group just wanted to go a bit too far, and that was Megatron's faction. That's interesting. That feels a lot more realistic. That reminds me of more stuff that happens IRL. Megatron was... I liked Megatron in this. I liked Optimus Prime in this too. He wasn't emo like IDW Prime could be sometimes, but he was also, you know, he wasn't 100% confident, but it wasn't so much that it was annoying. He was also a lot more expressive, and I really appreciated that. I thought he had a great voice actor. I see some people saying, we need Peter Cullen. No. I like this Optimus Prime with the current Optimus Prime voice much better than I could see. Especially the modern-day Peter Cullen's Optimus Prime voice has to be a much more aged and wise Prime. I don't think Peter Cullen's voice would have fit with the Optimus Prime of this series. I thought the voice for Optimus Prime was perfect. Much more expressive. The character itself was much more expressive, even with just a faceplate. Animation was beautiful, by the way, top notch. The arc wasn't as annoying as I thought it was going to be. I get flashbacks from, like, Fall of Cybertron, where you have to defend the arc from being blown up. The only time the arc was really in danger was in the last episode, and it was actually a pretty cool scene, so I forgive it. The Enigma of Combination was not involved in the story at all, which doesn't sound like something you would normally comment, except so much recent Transformers media has the Enigma of Combination that if I see the Enigma of Combination one more time, God help everyone. But there was the Allspark, and, like, I'm tired of the Allspark, but I'm much more tired of the Enigma of Combination, so I'd much rather have the Allspark involved in the story. The search for the Allspark wasn't annoying, and I think the show being 6 episodes long had a hand in that. Thank God this show is 6 episodes long. Bumblebee. I liked Bumblebee. I know people are going to say, oh, you just like it because he's dark and edgy. I've seen happy-go-lucky Bumblebee so many times I'm tired of it. This Bumblebee feels much more like a character. This Bumblebee makes more sense given the story. Maybe he was too eager to jump into the shoes of being the holder of the Alpha Trion protocols. Maybe you can make that argument. But Bumblebee... I don't know, this Bumblebee was much more interesting. There's that one group of Autobots that can turn into shoulder cannons. I thought that was pretty cool. Ultra Magnus's position was weird to me, so I guess Optimus Prime is sort of the political leader of the Autobots, but Magnus is the military commander. But, like, the differences between the two in the chain of commands was unclear sometimes. I've heard people complain about Shockwave's voice. I liked Shockwave's voice. I thought it fit perfectly. Sound Blaster was an interesting character, and of course we've seen Sound Blaster before, but this Sound Blaster was fairly interesting. I liked his involvement. The Omega Guardians were used in a much more cooler way than they're usually used. I'm glad to see the Omega Guardians. Omega Supreme was scary. Also, again, thank God for no Titans. I have PTSD from Titans. Please don't throw any more Titans. They did name drop Caminus. So Cybertronian colonies are out there. I'm tired of the Cybertronian colonies, especially the ones introduced in IDW. They also mentioned Velocitron. Like, okay, so there are Cybertronian colonies. What are they doing during this war? What role are they? Are they politically independent from Cybertron? Or, the reason I don't like the colonies, especially in modern day stories, is because they're almost never developed and just open up questions as to what their status quo is. But yeah, I thought this show was good. I thought it was pretty good. I think that it was much better than I expected, and I am heavily looking forward to the next season. Now, it's funny because in my original videos, I was pessimistic, I was cynical, I'm like, this isn't going to be good, I might not even watch it. And everyone was saying, Radix, why are you so negative? Radix, why do you hate everything? Radix, this is going to be good. And I'm like, no, it's not. And now I'm like, oh, that was pretty good. And I'm getting comments like, I didn't like it. I didn't think it was that good. I didn't like this, I didn't like this. So, like, I am doomed to forever be interlocked in combat with the Transformers fandom. I am doomed to 100% of the time have the opposite opinion of everyone for some ungodly reason. Why am I cursed? Why am I cursed to be in a fandom that has no common opinions with me? On Twitter, I likened it to Vector Prime and Galvatron stuck in a forever clash in the afterlife. we will never see eye to eye on anything. But yeah, that's my thoughts on Transformers Siege. It was pretty good, very good. Check it out. It has the Radix seal of approval. Yeah, I don't know how to end videos. Subscribe.